Firstly, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we're meeting today for this presentation and pay my respects to elders past, present and future. Thank you for joining us for the Victorian Tourism Awards webinar about consumer rating via ReviewPro. I am your MC for today. My name is Liz Ward. I am the CEO and co-founder of Tourism Tribe and have enjoyed a long relationship with the Victorian Tourism Industry Council on a number of fronts, but particularly with the Victorian Tourism Awards as a sponsor and a supporter of the awards, and also providing some training throughout. So it's my absolute pleasure to present this to you today, and I'm joined for the webinar by Avril Carter, who you can see on screen here. Hi, Avril.
Hello.
Avril is the Sales Director for Australasia at ReviewPro and is responsible for leading and developing the sales and growth of ReviewPro in Australasia. She works with both accommodation and tourism brands to help them gain and act upon the unique insights provided via ReviewPro's Guest Experience Improvement Suite. Avril has more than 20 years experience in hospitality and travel in Australia and Europe, including strategic roles at TripAdvisor, Orbitz Worldwide and Mandarin Oriental Hotel Group. And I have personally known Avril for a long time now, and we've shared the stage and webinars before and become close friends and colleagues. So welcome, Avril, and it's lovely to have you here to explain the world of ReviewPro in the context of the Victorian Tourism Awards.
Thank you, Liz. Very nice to be here, and thanks to ATIC for the opportunity to share some of this information. Yes, I've known Liz for a number of years, and yeah, we have done some great sessions together. So thanks. Nice to be joining you again.
Excellent. So what this is about today is a response to the industry's feedback, so your feedback over the past few years, and the Australian Tourism Industry Council having incorporated a more broad encompassing scoring system for the awards, where various elements, including consumer reviews, will contribute to the overall result of scoring a submission in the Tourism Awards. So these changes, as well as the rules and regulations for the Tourism Awards program, are set at a national level for all states and territories, including Victoria, of course, and therefore affecting entrants in Victoria. The consumer rating will be derived from ReviewPro, and in most cases it will account for 20% of the total score of a submission. There are exceptions and in certain categories. And so for those categories where there is a mix of products included in the business, then the consumer rating value will only be 5%. So this applies to retail and hire services and food tourism. There are categories that have their own specific question set, and the consumer ratings do not match what is being assessed. So therefore no consumer review score is incorporated for the submission calculation. And this includes the categories that you can see on screen here, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island tourism, accessible tourism, cultural tourism and ecotourism. And because of the nature of these categories, the other categories on screen here, a consumer rating will also not be applied to them. So major festivals and events, business event venues, local government award for tourism, new tourism business, tourism education and training, tourism marketing and campaigns. Now, additional information about the percentage of consumer score that's applicable for your category with the question set for your category is available on the Victorian Tourism Awards website, and the web address is victoriantourismawards.com.au. Now, as I mentioned before, the consumer rating score will be derived from ReviewPro's Global Review Index, the GRI. Now, as you get familiar with ReviewPro as a platform, and it's a great asset that we have access to in our industry to help businesses and regions, you will hear this term GRI quite often, so lock that one in. Now, a minimum of approximately 25 reviews must have been received across the different social platforms and review platforms that ReviewPro analyses and aggregates during the qualifying period in order to actually receive a GRI score. And businesses that don't have a GRI score will receive a score of 0 in their submission scoring. But to discuss this further and find out more about ReviewPro, because it's important that you have a base understanding of that, Avril is going to take us through that. So before we get into the awards details, Avril, can you tell us actually what ReviewPro is, please?
Sure, thanks, Liz. So ReviewPro has been supporting hoteliers, accommodation providers, tourism businesses and destinations for over 10 years to improve the guest experience. We currently count on over 60,000 clients worldwide, and our solutions include online reputation management, which is the solution that you will have access to via the awards program, guest satisfaction surveys, auto case management, and also our latest solution, guest experience automation, which is an AI-driven chatbot and communication tool. So everything that we do at ReviewPro revolves around the guest experience, and we support you to support your guests at every stage of the guest journey, whether it's in the look phase, the book phase, pre-arrival, in-stay or during the experience, or post-experience, post-stay. We basically have you covered. As you mentioned before, the Global Review Index, Liz, ReviewPro's Global Review Index, or the GRI, as we call it, is the industry standard online reputation score, is based on review data collected from over 175 review sites and OTAs in over 45 languages. So some of the more well-known review sites are likes of TripAdvisor, Google, Facebook, and online booking sites like Expedia and Booking, and that's just to name a few.
So there are 3 programs, as I understand it, that fall under what they call the Quality Tourism Framework, the QTF. There's accreditation, the star ratings, and the Tourism Awards. These are national programs and managed by the Australian Tourism Industry Council, ATIC. Each state and territory are then licensed to run these programs on a state level. And ReviewPro has been part of the accreditation program for a little while now, which means that businesses that complete their Quality Tourism Framework accreditation star rating receive a complimentary customised account with ReviewPro, which is absolutely amazing as a benefit for all these accredited businesses. And I love the fact that ReviewPro uses high tech. It's using artificial intelligence. It's a fully digitized platform. It's using analytics, great dashboards, all of these great technical capability. Yet at the end of the day, it's all about people and the customer journey and experience. So it's a great combination of high tech and people. So in 2021, for the first time, and this is the drum roll piece, consumer reviews are being introduced into the Tourism Awards, but via ReviewPro. So it's fantastic how everything's come together. Can you tell me why you think, Avril, it's important to integrate a consumer rating score into the Tourism Awards program?
Yeah, absolutely. So consumer reviews, they have a direct impact on your business KPIs. It impacts on things like your rankings on review sites, on search engines, and also third-party distribution sites like the OTAs. So reviews also directly affect sales, revenue, and your conversion rates, and therefore they're really reflective of business performance and excellence. So I think they sit really well alongside a program that's an award program that's analysing how well you're doing in your business. And also just as in general as a business, encouraging and listening to your customers, recording their experience is paramount to better understanding your business. So really just simply consumer ratings scores provide a really valuable metric of business performance. And ATIC actually recognised this a while ago about consumer sentiment playing an important part of both the consumer purchasing flow and also managing an effective tourism business, because our partnership was actually formed some time ago when ReviewPro was selected to provide this customised version of online reputation management that award entrants now have access to, has been around for quite a while, as you mentioned before, as part of other accreditation programs. And this was provided as a solution to accredited operators as a really practical business tool. So what we're talking about today in terms of the introduction of consumer reviews to the awards program, I think it's a really great natural evolution of how ATIC also recognise the importance of guest feedback across the provision of the tourism experience. So we're really excited to be partnering to provide these tools to gather the feedback.
Yeah, it's congratulations. I think it's a really great initiative. And as I mentioned before, you know, the number one thing for me is about bringing that consumer voice into such an important, you know, evaluation of businesses, and even to self-evaluate how your business is going, let alone to have that objectivity into the awards judging. I think that's great. So nominees of the Victorian Tourism Awards, they're going to have access to a customised version of ReviewPro for the purposes of the awards, and VTIC will set up the account for each entrant. But Avril, can you tell us more about the access, please?
Sure. So that's right. So once VTIC requests an account for you, that's if you don't already have one through another accreditation program, it will take approximately 14 days for the account to be set up and have your data from your reviews all within access. And then you'll have access to this customised account for the duration of the awards. So access to this dashboard is obviously going to help you in your awards process to better understand and benchmark your performance around guest feedback via your online reviews, but will also be a good day-to-day business tool actually to help you improve your overall performance across the guest journey. As a general summary, the online reputation management solution, it's designed to enable you as a business to monitor reviews in order to better understand guests, to help you improve service, to help you shape your product offering to align with what your customers want based on feedback, help improve your online rankings, and ultimately, of course, what we all want, to grow revenue. So the dashboards, when you have access to ReviewPro and you get into the account, they combine both quantitative and qualitative, always hard to say, data to help prioritise areas for immediate action. So you can also track individual reviews and responses, and you can create alerts for new review content and also download and schedule reports. We talked before about focusing on managing feedback across the guest experience journey. And just want to sort of highlight that this begins, of course, when a guest is researching their trip and finishes well after they have departed. As you know, travellers find your business on many different review sites, search engines and OTAs. They read what your guests have been saying about you and compare you with other businesses nearby. The experience with your business and how any negative issues have been handled via your management responses will be visible for all in the reviews that previous guests have left. So when you access your ReviewPro account, you'll be able to navigate through a number of dashboards that provide overall results like you see here. If Michelle might want to just move along to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. So this is one of the first dashboards that you will see. It gives you some overall results like your GRI score, which is obviously very important for you to know how you're doing. You can also see things like review volume, results based on specific review platforms. If we go to the next slide, you might see just some examples of that. So for example, you know, really crucial information, I believe, like which review platform provides your largest volume of feedback, how each of those platforms differ in terms of performance and scores for you as a business based on both reviews and also semantic mentions, and other ways to view your guest feedback, like you can see results by language, by country, even by trip type, all based on your guest reviews. So it's really analysing all different aspects of the way that review platforms ask guests for feedback and taking that data and giving it to you in a really easily digestible format to help you analyse your business and see guest feedback. You can select various date ranges to view the results, like by month, by year, etc. And you can compare also your results based on previous periods as well. And then also you can benchmark how your business is faring compared to your peers based on various group rankings that's provided by your state tourism industry council grouping. So you'll be able to see a little sample of how do I rank versus other similar businesses in my region. Then there's also qualitative results in the semantic dashboard that you can see here. So the semantic analysis technology that we have is really powerful. It really enables you to understand what guests say within the free text of reviews. And that's across 17 languages, helping drive really important business decisions that would make a difference for your guest experience and eventually revenue. So you can see what are the things that people are mostly talking about, what are they mentioning, what's impacting their experience, and is that positive or negative? Are they the things that you would expect, like that you think you do well, or the things that you focus on in terms of your marketing, and see if, you know, how they align? Are there areas you could improve, or are there maybe areas that you didn't realise how well you did, and maybe you could focus on for your own marketing to do even better? And then in addition to all the analysis, there's also a tab to track individual reviews and an easy link to respond on the respective platform. We really think a thoughtful management response goes a really long way to boost guest satisfaction, even if the experiences were not 100% positive. And on this tracking dashboard, you can also filter your reviews to really quickly show just those that are yet to receive a response, and that can save a lot of valuable time. Sorry, go on.
Well, I was just going to say that's amazing, Avril. That's a really great walkthrough for people to see the capability of the dashboard. And for a lot of people who aren't using this kind of feedback loop in a, I suppose, in a procedural way or in a data-based way, you can see, you know, I can see just how much easier it is by working through the dashboard, and to get those analytics all sort of packaged up for you and broken down in that way, and also to have the management tool as well to respond. It takes away some of the pain that comes in running a business. A lot of our tourism businesses are small businesses, and of course they need to reduce tasks and be more time efficient. So it's fantastic,
yeah,
really helpful.
And also, what I didn't mention, or I sort of alluded to, but obviously there's, other than the GRI, which forms part of the assessment for the awards, it can also be useful to access some of this information on your business when you are submitting your award submission for other areas that you may want to highlight. Because I know I've actually gone through an award submission process myself, and it made me realise how useful ReviewPro was for these things. And I've had many businesses tell me that they use ReviewPro to share things like, for even things like management response percentage, to show how engaged they are with their guests, and be able to show a really good unbiased opinion based on your guest feedback around your business performance based on some of those other metrics.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's very, very useful. So the GRI, it's obviously very important in terms of the introduction of consumer ratings into the scoring process for the awards. And this is pivotal. It's the key number. So I think it would be worthwhile you explaining how ReviewPro aggregates feedback from all of the different sites and calculates that important measure called the GRI.
Sure. So I think there's a slide, yes, that just shows a breakdown for you. So the industry, this is an industry standard, as I mentioned, our Global Review Index, developed by ReviewPro. It's an online reputation score, and it's available exclusively to ReviewPro clients. And it's used by thousands of businesses around the world as a benchmark for reputation efforts. So how it's calculated is based on review data that's collected from 175 sites that I mentioned before, or thereabouts. We're always adding new ones to the sources. And it's also calculated over sites that incorporate more than 45 languages. It can be calculated for a given point in time, like a day, week, month, year, etc. The GRI is calculated using a proprietary algorithm that was developed by us at ReviewPro in conjunction with input from industry experts and advisors from leading graduate programs in hospitality management. And it's used to benchmark an individual business or group of businesses, compare results between businesses or against competitors to track the evolution over time. So it takes those individual scores, essentially all the individual review scores that you receive from various review platforms. So it's only the score, not what they've said within the reviews. And it takes each individual one. Each day, the GRI is recalculated based on any new review scores that you have received and gets recalculated again into the mix. And as I said, it's an algorithm. So along with an algorithm, there comes weightings. So there's various weightings that are within that proprietary algorithm. Some of the key ones to know about, obviously, is the more recent review scores are going to weigh more heavily in your overall score. So in other words, as you're receiving new scores, they're going to weigh more heavily in your overall score that you receive. It's a score out of 100, as you've seen. So the good thing about that is that, and the reason that occurs is that as you receive new scores, your most recent ones are going to be more impactful. And the reason for that is that because how it needs to reflect how consumers use reviews. So if someone's looking at your reviews for your business, they're generally going to weight themselves more heavily on what people have most recently scored you and said, rather than things that they've maybe scored you 12 months ago. That's going to impact their own buying decision more. And also your more recent feedback is more reflective of the state of your business in general, so, and time and again, we hear feedback from businesses that say, and they track their GRI and they can see, especially over time, and one of the dashboards in ReviewPro, you can see how your score evolves over, say, 12 months on a graph. It's really interesting to see that sometimes it can really be directly related back to operational things that have occurred. And that businesses quite often will look at it and say, oh, yeah, I can see actually my score went down in September. That's when we lost a really valuable member of staff that was really pivotal, and it really impacted us operationally and affected the experience of our guests, so it's really, I believe, a very good reflection of what's happening in your business at the time.
And it's a good reminder to people too that when they're experiencing some stress because they've had a less than satisfied customer because their expectations weren't met and they didn't get a very good review, and that can be really upsetting for everyone. But it's a good reminder that driving at more reviews now and into the immediate future is just such an important strategy to respond to that. So you've segued really nicely into the next point, which is being addressed particularly in this webinar because there have been some questions from Victorian entrants about it. So let's say that I'm entering the Victorian Tourism Awards this year. My business is not accredited, so I don't yet have an account with ReviewPro. I know that VTIC will set one up for me, but will a new account also look back and look retrospectively at the duration of the qualifying period of the awards, which is 1 July 2019 to 30th of June 21?
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So whenever a new account is set up in ReviewPro, the data gets tracked historically. So whatever reviews have been occurring for you over the last 2 to 3 years will already be there. So you don't have to worry about having to gather new reviews to get the original score. But it also then, as you move down towards the qualifying period, so I think you said it goes up to 30 June when the judges will take that score based on your reviews up to 30 June. then like at this point in time, you've still got a little bit of time for new review scores to come in that could affect overall and possibly even improve your GRI score even more if you get a few new good scores.
Oh, that's right. Particularly given the algorithm is taking account and putting a little bit more weighting to those recent reviews, because that's what consumers do. So now's the time to roll up your sleeves and get as many terrific recent reviews as you can to bolster those results, because you've got up until the 30th of June this year for those to be included. So that's fantastic. So for first-time users of ReviewPro, how do you recommend that, what tactics do they use to grow their reviews successfully?
So I've got a couple of tips here. The first one I would say is there's a really good training video that we pre-recorded a wee while ago, specifically around the version of ReviewPro's online reputation management that you as an entrant will have access to. And I know that at VTIC, for example, for just one example, they have placed that video link on the website for the awards. So you'll be able to have a link through directly from there. And if you can't find it of your respective state, then just get in touch with your local tourism industry council and they'll be able to direct you to where the link is or send you the link to the training video. So that's really worth watching. It takes you step by step through all those dashboards that I showed you, but in a bit more detail, and explains all the different metrics and how best to use ReviewPro as a tool. So that's step one. The other things to do if you're using ReviewPro ongoing is definitely create alerts for new review content. And it's a really easy setup. Just create a new alert for any new reviews. And then every time you receive a new review, regardless of what review platform it comes from, you get an alert to your email address or to others that you specify. It's a really good way, it's a really good reminder of when you're receiving new reviews, and also just a reminder that you have access to ReviewPro and you can easily link directly, hyperlink from the email of the review directly back into ReviewPro as well to see your results. You can also schedule reports to receive on a regular basis. And the other things I suggest just generally with feedback anyway, is to share results with your teams. I think it's a really important thing, and it's something that works very well both ways, whether it's the owner or the manager sharing results with their team, or the teams sharing results with their owners. I think everyone, as I call it, guest satisfaction is a team sport. If everyone pays attention, then everyone sees the direct link between what people are experiencing and then how they're recording their experience and so on, and it just makes for a much better environment and culture. I touched before on promote what customers love when I talked about the semantic analysis. So if you look into the semantic, have a look at what are most people mentioning and what are their most positive mentions. So in other words, it could be something like the category of staff. So if you've got sort of 97% of positive mentions about your staff, you're doing really well, something to share with your staff, but also something that to consider about promoting what they love. So if they're liking certain things about what you're offering, make sure you promote that, because you know that that's ticking a box with your customers. And the final thing, my final tip, not necessarily just for first-time users, but just in general at the moment, is to remember that reviews still really matter. I'd actually say now more than ever, because so many aspects, like people have many demographics of businesses have changed, for example. So we've got businesses that previously relied heavily, say, on the international market, on certain international markets, and we're offering a product really tailored around that, suddenly now have a completely demographic of customers who have different expectations, and they're providing the feedback now. So, remember to use that as a really valuable source of feedback. And also remember that now people are really looking for security, they're looking for reassurance when they're booking, and they're looking to know what to expect. And the way they do that is that they go to reviews and they see, okay, what happened when someone went there last week? What did they say about it? Are the restaurants open? Is everything happening? What people are looking to sort of gauge and to what to expect. So remember that eyes are still very much on reviews.
Such important advice. Thank you. And I love your the team sport analogy there, and your what not to do. You know, if your owner is not paying attention, then no one will prioritize it. And if your lowest paid or your most junior employee is not paying attention to guest satisfaction, it will definitely impact. So great points. Thank you. So if you're watching this webinar through to this point, thank you for staying with us, and maybe you're still feeling a little bit unsteady about being able to achieve, if you don't already have them, a minimum of approximately 25 consumer reviews across all the feedback sites. Some of those were mentioned by Avril earlier. Please don't be concerned about that. Based, you know, on what we've said, you've still got some time up until the 30th of June to be able to stimulate more reviews, and the algorithm is going to reward you for that in terms of those recent reviews. So take on board some of the suggestions that Avril has mentioned above, and where you're engaging with a happy guest at the time, ask them. Tell them you really need their reviews at this point in time in your business, and they will, in a lot of cases, research shows that when a guest is directly asked to leave a review, that they will do that, and then follow through with your other normal sort of post-stay or, you know, post-experience follow-up to request a review as quickly as you can while the experience is still fresh in their mind. But don't miss out on the chance. Don't think that you shouldn't nominate for the awards because of that. You know, go for it and don't miss out on the chance to be considered and be on that stage at a state level and possibly at a national level as well. I'd like to also mention another new component of the Tourism Awards for this year, and that's the online review. So this is about your online footprint. Now, this is different from the consumer rating that we've just covered today. The online review is undertaken by the judges to assess your online presence, your online activities. So they're going to be having a look through at your website, social media channels, search engine optimization, external listings, sources that you have, so like directories, etc. And this is going to account for not a huge amount, but 10% of the total score. And that's going to occur just at the state or territory level. So just for Victoria, which is similar to the site visit, which means it's not done at a national level if you go through to the national awards, if you're successful and get up into that, you know, that fantastic group that go through to national. So that's another new addition, and once again I think that this is timely. It's been coming for some time, but at least this is consistent application now within the awards judging process that's going to be done across all states, and judges will follow guidelines in terms of how to do that. Now, generally speaking, we are at the end of this webinar. But I know that sometimes people still have more questions about either the online review component or the any other part of the judging, or how to enter the awards and what's involved. So if you have any further questions, then first of all check out the victoriantourismawards.com.au website, because there's a whole lot of information and resources there. And of course you can also tap into the great team at VTIC. So contact them and they'll be able to guide you to the information or provide you some help with your question. Avril, I would like to thank you very much for your time and sharing all of that incredibly valuable knowledge and information. When a new platform is introduced, as you've been doing over the last many years across Australia and in Victoria, then it takes many times of explaining how to use it and what it's all about. And so we appreciate your time and going through it again so methodically. It's really helpful. So thank you. And from Avril and I, from the team at VTIC, we say, please get in there, put a nomination in. We want Victoria to be on the stage and to be putting its best businesses forward, its emerging businesses, its new businesses, and to be amplifying all of the great work that you've done during a really difficult last 18 months, because that will have brought out all of your innovative and entrepreneurial spirit to get through these last 18 months. And that's great stories that you can tell, and your customer reviews will support that as well. So good luck, everybody. And I really look forward to seeing some of you at the awards ceremony. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.